PV5150 has come back in. Says, please clean up and evaluate. And it is indeed very dusty. You can see where a pick was sitting for a long time. And there's dust over the entire thing. It's really just been sitting unused. So if it has problems now, no real surprise. And I knew it's been unused for a while because on these amps, the power cable is coiled around the back. And when I uncoiled it, dust was coming off the power cable in puffs. Just it's been sitting around maybe in a warehouse. Anyway, the reason I bring all this up before I even power it on is this amp has been here 3 times in the past. Let's see, the first time it came in was February of 2018. Trying to find that one. It's right here. In February of 18, actually I had it one time before. I had it in 6 of 16, see if I still have that record. I don't have that record anymore, so I don't remember what I did back in 2016, but in February of 18, it had inconsistent output levels. I said, prolonged testing operation, no problems found. I suspect it was an issue with the power at venues amp was used at. With a steady 120 volt wall voltage amp operated as designed for over 12 hours of testing. Charged him $50. All right, so then it comes in April of 2018, so 2 months later, and it says amp volume fading out. I eliminated the tubes, the muting circuit, the screen grid resistors, and the effects loop, all common causes of problems. Finally found the buffer stage after the master volumes had a faulty grid, wasn't fully conducting biasing. Replaced 1 meg grid leak and 1K cathode resistors, both quarter watt with 1 watt carbon films. Charged them the standard bench fee because it had been 2 years since I'd last done any real service on this. And then it came in April of 2019, so a year later. It had a blown 2 amp fuse. I replaced the fuse, and I did sustained full volume testing and ensured that nothing was causing the fuse to blow. The fuse just blew. And then there were several iffy looking solder joints on the output tubes. Joints reflowed, probably caused the fuse to blow. It's possible. I charged him half the bench fee. So now it's back another 4 years since the last time I had this app. And it looks like it's been gathering dust for 4 years. As far as I know, this amp is fine other than being dirty. So, I'm going to have to open it up to clean it anyway. So let's open it up and see how dusty the insides are, and then we'll do a power on and see how it's performing. All right, removing this mesh panel is obvious. What's less obvious, if you've never worked on one of these, the PV5150s and the 6505s, is that these bottom left and right corner protectors also need to come off for the chassis really to slide out without any damage to anything. So I remove those. And the chassis mounting hardware are also the screws on the feet. So let me take those out. At that point, the chassis should slide out. All right, everything in here is all full of dust and yuck. I guarantee it was not like this 4 years ago when last I had it. It would have been cleaned. But if it's literally been sitting unused, it could be fine. Though I would not be surprised if every one of those jacks on the rear panel and the input jacks need to be cleaned. Let's flip it over and look at the inside. All right, the inside looks nice and clean. Still has the original IC brand filter caps. They're not visibly leaking. But I'll tell you, the worst thing for filter caps is sitting unused for 4 years and then being powered on. So I'll bring it up a little bit slowly on the variac and the current limiter just to make sure there's not a problem. Not reforming the caps. Reforming is bullshit. Just kind of bring it up slow so if there's a problem with one of these caps, nothing burns. You can see those 1 watt carbon films I did last time. My buddy Rob Hall had previously worked on this amp and he had installed a bias trim pot. You can see I reflowed the octal sockets. Let me hook up a cab and the variac and bring this up slowly and see what we see. All right, so we've got the variac set to about 75 volts. Got the current limiter on, I'm gonna power it on. And I'm gonna watch my current limiter. And when I get up to about 90 volts on the mains, that's the point where I will switch it out of standby. I'm gonna test all that at the same time. Probably would help if I plug the variac into the light bulb limiter source. All right, now we've got some power. Make this a little less bright for everyone's eyes. And I want to make sure that I'm on the right channels once we get started on this. All right. Let's bring the variac up a little bit slowly, not too slowly. Just heard the relays flip. Just see if I have any DC present after the rectifier. Remember which one's which on this. That goes to the standby switch, so. Yeah, we're already at 387, so I can take it out of standby. And bring it up relatively slowly from about 90 volts AC to 120 or thereabouts. Watching the light bulb, it's beginning to draw current, but nothing crazy. All right, we're going to start with it right about 117 volts. Let's see what sounds it is making. I've got the masters off, so we bring the master up on rhythm. There's that dirt. Let's go to the other channel. All right, so the dirt's mostly on the master volume for the rhythm channel. So let's take care of that real fast. Just cleaning the outside, and then there's the stuff that is where I actually charge for. Sometimes these pots go bad in 5150s. I can still get the bracketed pots. Hopefully we won't have to. Well, that's a lot better. After that deoxit evaporates, I will put some fader lube in there. All right, let's see. The volume controls are sounding. A little bit of, not too much on that volume. Tone stack seems okay. Resonance and presence. A little bit, not too much. Let's see what it sounds like. I'm going into the lower gain input. Not that it's particularly low gain. All right, the mids are particularly yucky. Let's clean that pot up. I'm doing something involving conductive liquid in a live amp. Don't do this unless you're really sure you know what you're doing. When in doubt, unplug, power off, drain. That's a lot better. Get a little bit on the bass pot too. If you wonder why I'm doing this at the relatively low gain settings, on the rhythm channel using the lower gain input, it's because if I want to have all these nasty sounds happen, I want to have them happen on the cleaner stuff that's less likely to puncture your eardrums if something goes south. Let's see. Let's clean up that presence control. The reason I'm not just going there and cleaning everything willy-nilly is I like to know what was affected in what ways by things sitting unused for 4 years. I suspected I'd have to clean most of these pots, but you know. All right, staying with the rhythm, I'm gonna go to the higher gain input. And it sounds like those input jacks. Ah, that's interesting. This lower gain input jack, right here, seems to be moving an awful lot. They're not the highest quality things to begin with in 5150s and such. Just a second, I'll make sure that the input jacks the nuts are tight, all that. So I'll clean these contacts first. There's a hum that goes away a little bit if I touch those nuts. So that can be a sign that they're just a little bit loose. Much better. All right, let's see what this sounds like with the higher gain input. Still on the rhythm channel, still on the clean mode, you know. Turn that master down, engage the crunch. All right, so the rhythm and clean are working. Let's go to the channel everyone wants. Turn that master down and I'll show you what I'm doing. 5150s are weird designs. This is metal, which should be at ground potential, but if you touch it, you get noise and you get radio. But that's normal. Let's see if that higher gain reveals anything. Well, I think this amp probably just needs an external cleaning at this point, and the owner got lucky. Hopefully he won't leave it sitting around in a warehouse or wherever gathering dust, literally. We turn off the current limiter. I don't do that. You can hear why. Gosh, this thing's loud. I turned the gain down a little bit. Aside from all that white noise, which on the 5150 is not a bug, it's a feature, the amp is sounding healthy. So I will get basically a chamois, hit that front panel so I don't have to remove all the knobs, and see how much of that I can get off, and clean the top of it and take the outside out and of the cabinet itself and clean that out and let the owner know that he got lucky. So that's a good place to be. I'll show the after. Well, before I close it up, that's a lot better. Some things are actually shiny. Everything's dust-free. The top is a lot cleaner. I didn't bother with getting all the dust out of the little nooks and crannies. At some point, I'm not your mother. But if that stuff bothers you, you can go to AutoZone and get, upholstery and vinyl cleaner and get that stuff really done. The important thing is the knobs are clean. The switches, the push buttons are cleaned. Inside, all the switches and jacks and pots are clean. It will actually sound as it is supposed to. So I think the owner got very lucky indeed.